Hi, everyone. We are live today, and we're going to be talking about allergies. And we've got a few people gathered up to help me share some other ideas with everybody about those allergies, because I think we ought to be having a detox spring. We need to start detoxing and working with our bodies so that we can protect ourselves on those allergies. And we've had more and more and more people get allergies. It's just a phenomenon that is not going away because we've caused it. We're not taking good enough care of ourselves and doing some things that seriously ancient cultures knew about for generations. And they lived off the land. They knew the herbs, they knew the plants, they knew all kinds of things that they could do. And the craziest story just popped into my mind. I used to live in a small community, Bolivar, Missouri. And when I had a house built there, we had a stonemason do our fireplace. And he was from the middle of the Ozarks. And he said, seriously, now I'm not saying do this. This is how people used to take care of themselves. But he said his family had, I think, 11 kids in it. And every spring, they would make sure that they didn't become allergic to poison ivy. And guess what their family tradition was? They ate a piece of the poison ivy leaf. And then nobody ever had problems with poison ivy. Now, isn't that something to think about? I'm definitely not saying you should do this, but I'm saying that this person was raised with that, and he actually was still doing it, and he had passed that tradition on. Again, they were living in the Ozarks, out pretty much in the woods, and that's what they had learned to do for generations. So every culture has something like that they might do. We may get really skeptical of it now. We'd say, oh, what if they had an anaphylactic shock, that kind of thing. So most of us wouldn't even attempt to try it. But I just wanted to emphasize to you that people do those things. And that's how from tradition and history of thousands of years that we know that a particular herb or a particular plant, or what we're talking today, a particular frequency, because they learn to hum, to chant, to, tone, to, play the drums, whatever their particular sound was. They also experimented that with for hundreds of years and through families. One family would pass it down to their children and so on, just like my unusual example in the Ozarks. So I'm sure I've kicked it off with a crazy story, but I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and give you a little bit more valid information about things that we could do for parasites and for allergies that we'll be talking about. Sure, if I can find it. There it is. Okay, so I'm hoping everybody can see my big screen. We're set up here. Please share ideas about Facebook, my WAVwatch group. It's slowly turning over to Rumble. And then the other day I was informed by, I'm going to say Mike Penny, that there's even some problems with some of the channels that I'm thinking were fairly safe. So anyway, we have to have information everywhere. And the best way that we can share information is with each other. And we're just pass it to our friends and family. Don't forget, the WAVwatch is not a medical diagnosis. It doesn't diagnose. It's you taking care of yourself. So the whole idea of these programs is to give you some ideas to take care of ourselves and to educate us and to learn what's done in the past. We had brilliant grandmothers, they learned a lot of things. So just things that we ought to be doing. So basically, I just wanted to make sure that you're all aware of the typical allergic reactions. And I don't think I have to cover that too much. There's more reactions and more problems probably than this little listing here that I put together. But we're going to have so many problems this spring, and we're already kicking off. So I'm not sure if I've already said this, but I think we need to have a great big old spring house cleaning in our bodies, And so I just wanted to share some information of what we could be doing for that. So obviously, I'm going to tell you about the WAVwatch and then a few more ideas. And then I'd love to have people share any ideas that they have for taking care of themselves and allergies in the spring. Again, the whole connection is that they are getting worse. There are more and more toxins in our environment, in our food, in the air, in everything that we do, and our allergies are going crazy. So basically, again, we have these allergic reactions. These are some supplements that are very helpful. So vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin A, omega-3 fatty acids. Stinging nettle is a really good herb, and a lot of people make a tea out of it and just have that in the spring. That would be an old-time remedy, if you can imagine. The one that I just told you about. If you didn't miss it, if you didn't hear it, I hope you'll go back and listen to my amazing story from about 30 years ago. Supplements, we could also do probiotics and the quercetin, and the list is endless. There are supplements in a natural health food store, which is obviously what I'm going to be telling you more about. And there's a whole section for allergies. And I hope that you are starting to learn about muscle testing or kinesiology, and that you can put your best foot forward and get the supplement that your body needs the most, and that is the best for you. You don't want to waste any money, and that's one of the neatest, or time. You don't want to waste money or time, and that's one of the neatest things about being able to muscle test. And so if you need a refresher on that, there is an hour-long session on muscle testing. So these are some products. There might be some other multi-purpose allergy products, and those would also be good. And I see that lemon isn't on here. I might not have made a list of a food list, but lemon and lemon products are something that the Chinese have always used for liver cleansing, which we're going to be talking about more and more, or for just allergies in general. So on the WAVwatch, exactly under self-care. Now, it was hard to put categories together, but I ended up with a self-care category. And it's really anything that we're taking a lot of medications for, over-the-counter medications, that possibly we could learn to back out of those over-the-counter ideas with some natural things. And so this is the category that allergies is in. And so we have an allergy combo. And don't forget that anytime it's labeled combo, that means I put all the other ideas together and they're in the allergy combo, but maybe you decide that one of them is the one you need. Let's just say you think, you're in the middle of, your throat is closing up. If you use the allergy combo, you may not have any relief because it's going to be 30 minutes before it actually plays the anaphylaxis section. So you would want to go directly to that. Or if you had hives, you would want to go directly to that, possibly. But they are included in the allergy combo. And so when it says combo, again, it will play all of them on a loop, and you can loop them so to make it play for a much longer period of time. People still have trouble with that a little bit. And don't forget, you would go into the bottom left corner of your watch, and there is 3 icons there, and you can change those icons to determine the length of time that it plays. And then we're always going to try to set these from 4 to 8, so somewhere in there. You don't want to hear it. I'm pretty deaf. I can't hear it at 8 sometimes. And then other times it will drive people crazy. It's like, what's that buzz? So, play according to who's in your room or who is close to you. It's not going to hurt them, but it may irritate them a little bit. So you can put it down between 4 and 8. Do not turn it off. It has to vibrate. Your body has to feel that vibration. And I guess my big statement here is, why sneeze and wheeze when one can remove the cause? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So the list of over-the-counter ideas is endless. And I think last week I touched on how many problems are created with even over-the-counter supplements for just allergies. It was really amazing how many problems they can cause. So like most of us here, we're looking for natural ideas. And I haven't used any of these. I'm not saying yay or nay. I'm just saying in general that not every over-the-counter supplement is or over-the-counter product is something that you want to use. We're trying to emphasize how you can back off and do more natural things for allergies. Now, everybody has a different season, according to where you live. And I'm not sure when you would say your allergies get the worst in Florida. Here in Kansas City, they're going to start getting bad in just a couple of weeks, So that's why I thought this was good timing, because we need to start working on our bodies right now, because this is what else we need to do. We need to do self-care for allergies a little bit deeper. And so the first one to start with is liver. So you may know that you have allergies. Great. You can play that allergy folder, but think through it and dig deeper. The liver is so toxic today that it can't keep up. So play through all of these ideas. I'm not saying you have them. I'm just saying they are frequencies on a little bit different sound. They'll sound, each one of them will sound different. And they have something just a little bit different in there that your body might need. I can't guarantee it, but it's not going to hurt you if you play one that your body doesn't need. And then there's the idea that maybe you're preventing. So maybe the liver cirrhosis is something that you don't have, but wouldn't we like to try to make sure that we're taking a supplement or an herb or something to keep our liver as up to date and functioning as good as it can? And so the WAVwatch has frequencies that are stated this way for protection and prevention. So I have talked before that I do thermography, and this is kind of a side, front view of a gal that had liver problems. And it definitely shows that all we did for 30 minutes was play the liver set. And you can see that inflammation is going away. So that's right at the top where the liver is. And then it's, there's problems as it goes down. So we would like to have the white all gone and the reds and oranges fade away when we see that something is working. And that's exactly what we're seeing happening in this thermography picture, that inflammation in that area changed drastically when she was playing the liver inflammation. So hopefully, if you've got anything going on in your liver, this picture will kind of spur you on to say, oh, it is going to help. Positive attitude always makes a huge difference. So it is definitely worth your time to start. Once you play something for allergies, then move on to liver and cleanse your liver. Give it some support that it needs, and keep in mind that we can see some changes on something called thermography, which is a heat-seeking camera system that I use. Looks like I went the wrong direction. I'll go one more. Okay, so we have so many allergies from the liver, and we're never really told that. I don't think it's something that we just really think of. When we have allergies, we just grab an over-the-counter supplement. And what we need to be doing is grabbing a liver supplement, a good liver supplement, not a quote unquote toxic over-the-counter idea. So the liver has to clean out everything that you can think of, everything that comes through our body. The liver has to work with that. So here's an in-depth idea about if there's too many substances entering the bloodstream and it's too great for the liver to process, the immune system recognizes the molecules as being an allergen and produces antibodies against them. So if you want to be real technical, we get overloaded with toxins. The liver recognizes it as a toxin, an allergen, and starts making antibodies to protect yourself. So that's an idea, just to remind you that the liver is responsible for some of these allergies, just because it's overworked. So I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but the liver has almost 500 jobs to complete every day. We need to be pampering our liver. You see where I'm going? I can't even begin to list all of the 500 functions. So this was one that had just a couple of ideas, and this is from Hopkins Medicine. So all the blood leaving the stomach and intestine passes through the liver. The liver processes this blood and breaks down, balances, and creates the nutrients and metabolizes drugs into forms that are easier to use for the rest of the body or are non-toxic. Now, I think that sentence right there, the last part of it, is why I chose this statement to show you from Hopkins Med. They're saying, oh, if we take something that's a little bit, like a drug or prescription or an aspirin, quote unquote, your liver is going to break it down and make it non-toxic. Whoa, we need to think about that. How many things do we want to, shove into our body and say, oh, the liver will take care of it. It's all right if I take this toxic problem or, a toxic drug, this toxic XYZ, and there's so many things in this category because my liver is going to break it down. Well, you can just ask people that have had chemo. They've had a terrible decision to make. They had to take the chemo. That was the decision they made. And they were really counting on their liver breaking down that toxic, metabolizing that. But it can't all the time. It can't keep up. So people that are overloaded with toxic drugs of all kinds have problems. Another idea would be just something like you go in to get an MRI, and they're going to give you a whole list of things that's going to go through your system. And gadolinium is the main toxin in that group that they give you so that they can see what is going on in your body. And again, do they ever tell you that your liver might be able to detox that? No, they don't, as far as I'm understanding. I haven't had that procedure done, but I have seen the results of somebody who had a knee problem, went in and had an MRI and took, I guess my mind is blank as to exactly what you call the whole list of things that they give you so that they can see in your body. Somebody feel free to jump in and tell me what the list of that is. But this person was about 40, and within a week of having the MRI done, they had lost their ability to talk and they could not walk. They were crippled and almost in a wheelchair. And they were severely allergic to the gadolinium that was in that dye type idea that was going through their system. And the stories on this are horrendous of very allergic reactions to quote unquote things that we can put in your body because your liver will metabolize it. Do not go there unless you have to, because our liver has 500 jobs, and we know things are coming out of the sky more and more. We know there are more allergens. There's more things in the air from our, airline fuel. Our food has to be broken down with more and more chemicals in it. And the liver is not keeping up today. I don't have to mention this too much more, and maybe I've gone over the top with it, but we are told that it's okay to take something that might be a little bit more toxic because our body can handle it.
Linda?
Yes.
I was going to mention too that, my son being a doctor, he does, he prescribes MRIs all the time, and he swears up and down that doctors will tell you that the gadolinium leaves your body within 12 hours is what he says. And I told him, I said, I know this not to be true because I've had a client in my office that she has gadolinium poisoning. And he says, oh, no, that can't be true. And I said, it is true. And I said that she had a 24-hour urine test and that it was done by the Mayo Clinic which he works for, and the Mayo Clinic told her she had gadolinium poisoning. So you do know that this is something that whenever you have to go in for one of these tests, I always recommend detoxing your body as soon as you're out of there, so that you're not going to encounter some of these things. And running the liver ones is also a perfect way to do that. So thank you for sharing that, because so many people don't know that.
And I think we need to give Libby a hand here, because think of having a son that, is so educated in the medical community and so brilliant. And Libby's learned so many things on a little bit more the natural side and is worrying about those things. So Libby, you really spoke up, and that was amazing of you to do that and to share that with us. So the man that was in my office, I kind of mentioned that he couldn't talk. Well, what I didn't really mention was that it was more cave-like. He was grunting and had a lot of problems with drool. And he had been that way for 6 years, but it started immediately, within a week or so after that test. So these dyes are very toxic, and you don't believe everything you hear. So that's the way to say it. We've been conditioned a little bit more than we should. So I think this group, I might not need to say that much, but Libby's information was just amazing, because that's a doctor realm of what they have been taught. And so they are believing that. But I don't believe that personally, because I've seen people firsthand that are toxic with gadolinium or other heavy metals from some of the tests that they've had done. So the liver, the last thing I think I was going to mention, so many of us have gallbladders removed anymore, or we have our appendix removed, or, whatever. And then the liver has to take on the job of those organs. What do you think happens to the liver then? It is just overwhelmed. And so you're going to have more and more problems with a liver. All of us are in our society today. So just a little bit more information. Let's dig deeper into what harms the liver the most. So we've got parasites. Those are the worst problems. And we've talked about parasites a little bit, but we have new people rotate through. So I'm going to give some of that information. I didn't have quite enough time, but bacteria and molds are the same thing. The parasites tend to be the worst. And then obviously lack of nutrients. The liver can't even metabolize and get the nutrients that it needs. And that's its job, to send them to the whole body. So we are just in this hailstorm, and things are not getting better. So here's why I hate parasites so much. I have a system. I showed you a picture of it here. It's called a Meridian Stress Assessment, an MSA, and it does hook into a computer system. And I tested 100 people when I was developing the WAVwatch. And this system has actually about 50,000 frequency ideas on it. And just by the person holding the brass bar and me holding the black stylus beside it, we have created an electrical circuit, and we're looking for those frequencies in a person's body. And 42 people, the worst thing in their system was parasites. So, that's an overwhelming amount, more than a third, not quite a half people. And sometimes they're saying maybe up to 60% of us have parasites and don't even know it. So I definitely fell right in that category. 42 had parasites as their worst problem. Now, what some of us may not realize is that this computer system has 150 different parasites it can identify, and it labels them and tells you all about the parasite, and then orders them in the worst case scenario, basically. And so some people have 30 kinds of parasites in them, 20. It's just overwhelming. And then you think, oh my goodness, they could be in the egg stage, the larva stage, the, adult stage. And then we've got 30 of them going through their cycles. Our body is just under attack, and the liver cannot get rid of these. It's attacking the liver most of all. Then the liver doesn't do its job. So here's a testimony. Someone sent me this 6 hours after they wore the WAVwatch when I was developing it and they wore it for about 30 minutes, and it was just set on the parasites. That's all it was. And within 6 hours, she passed this parasite. Now, this person's in the health profession, so I thought that was really great to get that from her. So the other 42 people or 41 people, I'm not sure anybody looked at their bowel movements. I'm trying to be as polite as possible, but we all know what we're talking about. And, nobody sent me a picture. Nobody else did. But everybody was so excited to think that their parasites might have cleared up, because I taught them how to muscle test. And in my office, they picked out a supplement or an herbal or a diet, something that their body needed for cleansing out the parasites, which would take from 3 months to 9 months, or maybe even longer, to clear out all those parasites in their cycles. And then they ran the WAVwatch, and then we retested again on the MSA. And they retested their muscle testing. Their bodies did not want the supplements for parasites, did not need them any longer. And the MSA did not pick up any parasites after 30 minutes on the WAVwatch. Now, I can't say that was a double-blind study, but that was as close as I could get. And I was very, very pleased. And again, we were all kind of incredulous, especially me. So someone volunteered to come back at a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 2 months, and 3 months. So again, we tried to cover the bases, and people still did not have parasites in their system. Now, I had used that system for 15 years, and that would never have happened. That was impossible. You can't get rid of parasites in 30 minutes with herbs. So it was very, very interesting to me that we did see such a change in, just a short period of time. And I have learned since then that when you have a wave frequency, it goes through your body at 4.3 times the speed of sound, and it's absorbed completely, 100%. But when we take a prescription, or sadly, even a supplement or an herb, it snakes through our body at a foot a second. And then the body heat breaks it down, and only 2% of it is absorbed. Now, that was something I hadn't thought about, and it just, hit me, because no wonder they tell us we have to take something for, 6 months before we'll see any difference, or it's going to take 3 months to work, or, whatever the phrasing is. Those ways to get something absorbed into our system are very, very slow ultimately, and only 2% absorbed, where a wave frequency like we have on the WAVwatch zips through at 4.3 times the speed of sound. So that may be why we see changes very quickly. Again, I can't say that it was scientifically validated. That's just my information. Now, the chart that I've had up here for you a little bit, I thought there was a lot of reading here, and I'm not going to read it, but these are common allergy and parasite symptoms. So sometimes people say they have allergies when actually they have parasites. So there's a list right there in the blue: asthma, bloating, brain fog, cramps, diarrhea, fatigue, flatulence, gallbladder attacks, headaches, immune problems, irritable bowel syndrome, mucus secretions, muscle problems, ulcerative colitis, weight gain, and weight loss can all be connected with, quote unquote, allergies or parasites. So that's why you want to cover it. You want to clean your liver out, and then you want to make sure that you are getting rid of parasites in many different ways. I'm not saying that the WAVwatch is perfect. It really seemed to work with 42 out of 100, but we need to be eating cleanly. The list goes on and on. So sometimes children are told that they have ADHD when really they have parasites. So think about that. They're trying to sit still in their chair. I just think that's such an obvious example, but it's easier to put them on a, prescription because they have ADD or ADHD, when that may not be the case at all. So our children can use a lot of parasite cleansing also. So this list just kind of shows us so many things that are tied together: allergies and parasites. And I know there's a lot on there. And, that's why I wanted it to be on the screen for a little bit. But even parasites can be connected with the cardiomyopathy, with heart problems, with obviously pulmonary fibrosis, with breathing problems, skin rashes, sinusitis. It is an endless grouping. It's huge. So that's why I say the first thing that you should do on the WAVwatch is run inflammation, pain, and trauma, and then the parasites. Now, if we go on, this is what I have on the WAVwatch. It is just parasites, and it's parasite combo. So remember what I said before, the combo means that I've taken 2 through 12, and I've put it all in parasite combo and looped it for you, or excuse me, put it all together, and then you can loop it. You can choose the loop form and play that all night long. So here's some pictures of things we have in our body. It's a little scary, isn't it? So play the parasite combo. And some people will say, oh, I don't have parasites. But don't forget, we bring parasites from around the world. You visit with somebody, you go to somebody's home that's just been in another country. Seriously, we don't know how everything travels and connects. But, they could have some clothing on that they wore, quote unquote, in the Bahamas or whatever. And they sat on their couch and, all of a sudden we've got some little unwanted creatures in the couch, and then you sit there, you touch it, you have it. Or the cat was there, or the dog licks you. You are outside picking up things in the lawn. I'm going to leave it to your imagination. Parasites come from anywhere and everywhere. Now, these are some parasite treatments before the WAVwatch that are still helpful, but I hope that you'll jump in and really embrace the WAVwatch and do the parasite folder on there. At least I'd say, I don't know, I'm just guessing, a couple times a month. Sometimes I don't get my own ideas carried out because I'm trying so many things. But we do know that parasites reoccur. You can take a walk on the sand in the beach and get parasites, and you might have just done a parasite cleanse of some kind, and then you can be repopulated. So, keep doing the parasite cleanse. It is one thing to do over and over again. So other things that you could do would be a colon cleanse, and it's going to remove the body's natural waste, and it helps to minimize the parasite die-off and any Herxheimer reactions, or Herx reactions is what that says. And you've probably heard that word before. Some people really have irritations, and they may be sick for a day when they're doing a colon cleanse or a parasite herbal cleanse, or, some things like that. I believe I have just had feedback from 1 or 2 people that said that they did the colon cleanse all night long. The parasite cleanse on the WAVwatch all night long. And then the next day they were just really, really tired. That was it. They were just tired. Now, the Herxheimer reaction from herbals and things can be more like, I have a headache, I've got a stomach ache, a lot of the symptoms that are connected with the parasites. Now, I hope I'm not straying too far here for you, but we got to get rid of the parasites to clean our liver, to have less allergies this spring. So that's where I'm going. We're trying to get the spring house cleaning done, and you have to start at the root. You have to start at the base. So don't forget to take your vitamins and minerals. And again, this list has vitamin B12. We already mentioned vitamin D. Get out in the sun a lot. Iron is helpful. The list goes on and on. Now, another idea that you can use for the WAVwatch is the immune system. And this is the categories within the immune system. I love the vagus nerve. I did not know about it until probably the last couple months. And I knew it was on my watch. I put it there, but I hadn't really used it. And I may have mentioned this before, but this is kind of an image of the vagus nerve. So it goes throughout your body and your upper portion of the body. And that has really helped me with waking up without allergy problems. I'm not saying I exactly had allergies. I could have had the parasites, but in the morning I would wake up, think that I had some sinuses, coughing, mucus, blowing my nose, that kind of thing. And it'd be a, 30 minutes circle, for a while. And I didn't used to have that. I didn't have that last year. I just started having it this winter. So when I started playing the vagus nerve at night, I have none of that, and if I forget to play it, I will wake up and start having a little bit of mucus, and I just put the vagus nerve playing and it goes away. I only have maybe one sneeze, where before I was sneezing, 15, 30 times without that support. So that's one that I really suggest is a good overall one to add also, and play that one. I'm playing it basically every other day or at night if I think I need to. So the immune system is very, very helpful. That's what happens when the liver gets overwrought. It has too many jobs to do, and then more allergens come in springtime. It can't take care of it. It starts making antigens, and then your body, just goes crazy. So you could have hives, you could have rashes, you could have the sneezing, you could have all of the symptoms from that, because your immune system's messed up, your liver's messed up, eczema, skin rashes, things are just getting worse and worse with people because we are not understanding the importance of getting rid of parasites and cleansing our body, detoxing, and making sure our liver can do what it's supposed to do. Now, a lot of times, I didn't even mention this, I've kind of worked into the detox. But I did want to mention that a lot of times women have hormone problems because the liver's job is to metabolize those hormones and break them up and do what, send them to different places or through the excrete them, whatever that particular hormone needs, however that hormone needs dealt with. And when women do not have a good liver, those hormones build up in their body. So again, with the biomeridian system that I have, I can scan for products that the liver is not detoxing, for ideas. And in some women that are having hormone problems, all it does is pick out every hormone there is. There's 100 ideas, but it'll pick out 6 or 7 hormones. And so that tells you that whatever's happening with the liver, it is not able to do its job and metabolize those hormones. So hey, ladies, if you're having trouble with any cycles, any hormonal things, the liver's the first place to start. And we don't necessarily know that sometimes. So then we still have to dig deeper, because what messed up the liver? And then we find a list of parasites that are bothering the liver. So everybody could have a different problem within the concept of the liver not working correctly, because it has 500 jobs to do. But mostly today, we're talking about the liver being low functioning, and then we have allergies, and spring is coming up. So I want you to have a good body, that I want it to be detoxed before spring comes and you don't have allergies this year. So one more thing to help you, and then I'm kind of wrapping up down here, but we want to detox, obviously. Now, sometimes you can pick out one idea, but if I want to detox, I just play them all, push the top one and go through and detox. So that's a great way to start. But we have had a testimony from somebody that she just plays the EMF and electrosmog detox, and that helps her anxiety. So that's one she's going to pick out and loop a little bit more. I think I was outside once and I thought I saw something and felt something, hit my skin. I'm not that much of a conspiracy person, but I was kind of worried about things coming from chemtrails, and definitely do believe in those. That is not a problem. But so I played and looped the chemtrail detox for quite a while, but I also played through all of the rest of them. So lots of things you can do. So again, just to tie this up, kind of end it up, we're talking about mostly allergies today and getting your body ready to go. And the main place to start on the WAVwatch when you talk to people is inflammation, pain, and trauma. So that'll cover allergies too. then play the parasite combo, and then play the whole detox category. So that is a paragraph. It's the very first paragraph at the top of the list when I start listing the sound frequencies. So right here's the paragraph. So don't forget, that's one of the most important ones. You're going to prevent allergies by protecting your liver, by killing the parasites, and then it's not going to hurt you to go through bacteria, viruses, mold, that kind of thing too, to go through all of those in that list. So I am quite a talker today. So I appreciate you working with me, and I'm going to stop sharing and let you join in and share any ideas that you have to go with that. There we go. So I hope everybody could hear me. Hope that was okay, loud enough. But anybody have any additions, anything that they want to do with the WAVwatch, anything that they've had success with or questions about?
Linda, this is Shafia, and I have a quick question.
Sure.
I'm looking at my book, and sometimes I'm looking for the vagus nerve and I can't find it in my book. So where is the vagus nerve? What's it under?
It is under the immune system, but I'm not sure which version of the book you have, Shafia, because I've had different versions, and
Right.
So I think I got the vagus nerve in there. It's in immune system, but you might have a book where it's not printed. And I do apologize, but as you develop a product, you make a few more changes. Now, it is also in the nerve folder too. I stuck it in there because I thought that made a little bit of sense. So vagus nerve is also in the nerve folder under pain.
Under pain. Okay.
Two places that you can find it. So
Thank you. It's an important one, and
yes.
sometimes I can't find that in the book, so I'm just scrolling through the watch trying to find it.
Yeah.
But I will make a note of that. Thank you.
Yeah. And maybe you can put it in a favorites folder and then you don't have to look once you find it, Any other ideas?
Yes, Linda, this is Janie again. And
Sure.
I agree with your vagus nerve thing. I tried that the other night. It was wonderful. My head in the back felt kind of full or something. I don't know. When I woke up, it was very comfortable. It just felt great. And I could really tell that it really did help a lot to do that and unscramble my thinking also. It unscrambled that a lot because I was going to have to run some of these other things to straighten that out. And gosh, I didn't even have to do that.
Well, and that's what I'm thinking too, because you see the picture and all of the nerves, that are included in that. And just the other day on my BioMeridian, I was working with somebody and it pops right up and it said the liver to vagus nerve connection, and so that told us right there that she needed to play the vagus nerve, that it had a connection with her liver, and that was problematic. Now, somebody might be able to help me out biblically on this, but there's, a silver cord that runs through your body that controls your life. Can somebody help me on that a little bit or know that verse? But I thought that was really interesting because they have decided that silver cord mentioned in the Bible is probably the vagus nerve. But
And also I wanted to mention something else I found out with my precious little dog. He's such an experiment station. And I was playing the viruses one day, that whole big long section, and got to the herpes virus. And he was coughing like crazy. I mean, it just sent him into a terrible cough. Well, he's had all this broke out bumps, just terrible things in his ears, gone down his face and in his eyes, his nose, around his mouth, and everywhere. And the watch helps a lot otherwise, allergies and stuff. But all of a sudden he quit coughing, and I watched him because there's 3 files, and those things started to go away. And I tell you, they are the best allergy medicine that I think I've ever found. It just works wonderful for that dog, and it lasts for quite a while.
wow.
It's, I guess, well, it's shingles, I guess, basically, isn't it? Kind of.
Yeah.
And I had read also later that it gets in your mouth and your, around. And this is what was bothering him so bad was that. I think that's what was causing his coughing so bad. This dog hardly coughs anymore at all. He coughed very seriously for about 2 or 3 years. And
Oh,
so
that,
I think that's something to consider is that herpes virus. Or
oh my goodness. And
dog
that's
coughing.
in the virus folder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. I
Under
think that's
viruses.
really, really a good one.
That is an amazing testimony and feedback, because you don't think of our animals, we're concerned about herpes, zoster, and shingles,
Right.
Wow, for
I
the
had no
animal.
idea what this was, and I've taken it to the vet, and they basically ignored the fact that he even had anything you could even see. And I mean, it got worse and worse. Even his tummy broke out and everything. I mean, this thing will clear it up just real quick. And he
Gee.
knows when he needs it because here he comes, and sure enough, I look, I see this little pink coming on him. Sure enough, I'll turn that on and it goes away.
Oh my goodness.
So I guess that's another something to put in your memory bank.
Okay. So somebody has asked a question on the chat. How are these devices tested and calibrated to determine if they're working according to specifications, as well as retesting and recalibration? So these are song players. So all of those little songs are recorded on a TF or an SD type card. And so those are, I have a prototype, a person who developed the prototype for me, and he has all kinds of equipment to test the sound and to make sure that the sound is correct. And then when the TF cards come back after they've made them, I send in the songs, quote unquote, that I have created from history. There's 100 years of recordings and measurements for frequencies. So I make those, I send them to him. He makes sure that they are correct, and then they are sent to be recorded on a TF card so that they should not need calibration as far as we know. The only problem on the WAVwatch would be maybe that the speaker malfunctions and doesn't, play the frequencies as good as it should. And then I mentioned several times that these are made in China. And I have quite a story on that, but just to, kind of catch everybody up for the question. But when I started, my prototype person worked all over the US working with devices like this. And he said he knew a couple places in the US that could possibly do this, but probably not. But one of them did happen to be in my hometown in Independence, Missouri. So I went there, and they were very skeptical, and they said, oh, you've made this too complex, and sorry, you can only use 4 letters to describe your 850 ideas. And by the way, we'll take a check for $1 million and we'll get started. Oh, and they couldn't even put a clock on it. So that's why they are made in China, because they had all the technology to do that. So that's all I can tell you. So I chose to go ahead and use them, get them made. And then I did talk to somebody just yesterday that is trying to build a factory. He has a group of investors, and they're building a factory to make some of the TF cards in the it would be in Kansas. I'm not sure exactly, but he said it would be 2 years before they could even get started. And so there might be some technology coming up, but at this point in time, I do make them overseas. Any other questions or anything else?
Yes, Linda, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Edgar Casey refers to the silver cord, and that's what he used in order to find other people and learn about them, and it attaches us to every other living being, really. And I think that's what's used in voodoo and some of this other stuff. But that's not from the Bible, but that's from Edgar Casey's readings. I want to ask Janie how she attached the watch to her dog, or to get it to work on the dog, if she can answer that.
I don't, because he's very skittish. I just lay it on a table or something and he hears it. Believe me, he'll come find me. I'll maybe be using it on myself in the kitchen. The dog will come out and find me. And when I turn on the right frequency for him, he just goes over and lays down because he knows which one he likes. But I can't attach it to him because he was mistreated as a puppy and he's never gotten over that, I guess. But it works fine.
Well, I think that's a little bit of genius from you. The other thing is that the vagus nerve is located in the chronic. It's on your chronic icon. You drop down to the immune system and then go down to the end, and it's the vagus nerve is in there. And
Yes, and I had a chart. It was on the screen of that. Yeah.
Yeah, but Shafia couldn't find it, and I
So
did.
2 places. Remember, I put it in 2 places. Yeah.
Well, I
Thank you.
saw it.
Yeah.
I saw it.
There
No,
it
I saw it in the chronic, but it was in the other one under pain. Okay.
Yes, pain and then nerves.
Okay, that's all I got.
Yeah. Because I want people to find it. So,
Yeah, I agree. Thank you.
Linda,
yes.
the silver cord is mentioned in the Bible. It's in Ecclesiastes 12:6, specifically 6.
I need to memorize that. I had read that somewhere, and thank you, because I was really disappointed from, what I just heard. But I think that, there is definitely a connection in the Bible too. And it's Ecclesiastic what?
Ecclesiastes 12:6.
Verse 6. Okay.
I won't attempt to understand it at this point, but you can probably find some good commentary on it.
Okay. Thank you, Vicki.
You're welcome.
Vicki, right?
Pardon?
Linda,
I thought that was from you. I hadn't
Yeah,
seen
it
it.
is.
yet.
I'm sorry.
Perfect. All right. Any other comments? Anything else?
One
Linda,
question, oh, go ahead.
Linda, I have 2 questions that are totally unrelated to today's talk. One of them is, I know somewhere in the 850, I've seen gout, and I can't find it looking for it for the life of me. Do you know where you put it?
I don't think I have gout. That's one that I'm going to add to it.
Oh, okay. Then I
Yeah.
dreamed it because I've looked at the little folder so many times. I was like, I know it's here.
But
Then-
gout is really tied to arthritis. So that is a connection through there. That would be helpful.
The other question has to do with, I know we don't ever diagnose or anything, but there's a lot of different skin cancers, basal cell, squamous cell, melanoma, that sort of thing. Do you have any plans to add any of those in the future?
I'm trying to stay away from cancer as much as I can and make this a self-care. But the only folder that I have for cancer is the pathogen one. And you could try to use some of those. That's it at this point in time. Yeah. Now, I am trying.
I've been using them. Thank you.
Thanks. I am trying to maybe expand to 1,000, and the cost would go up just a little bit. Obviously, it's going to cost me more to get that done. And then you would be able to buy a new TF card. And then if that's of interest to you, exchange it with your old TF card if you wanted to update. That's the idea. It may not, that's what we're working towards. We'll see how smooth that works. There might be some people with older versions that TF card might not exchange. So that's my concern there. So, okay. Anybody? Oh, Carolyn, you
I just had a question. When you run out of stock, have you got a sense of how long it takes to come back into stock? Because there are probably so many things out there in the marketplace that could impact that. Or do you know?
Yeah, I'm out of stock again. And they're telling me possibly 19 to 26 days, quote unquote, so we'll see. But I will have some more, and they've been pre-ordered, on back order. So I'm not taking any money or anything like that. I don't want to get into that, but just people can sign up or to be on a mailing list or check back in on the website to see if there's any back in stock yet. But any other questions? I don't want to take up your time. Any questions are fine. Other than that, All right, thanks for joining today, and let people know that these are saved on Facebook, and they can go back and review them if they have a problem with diabetes. Hey, there's some information there on diabetes. Hey, allergies, we need to kick off and get busy. I'm going to get busy and make sure I do what I'm suggesting to everybody else. So we'll talk to you next week. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.